Welcome to the COMC Community Spotlight Show. It's presented by the great folks at Central Ozarks Medical Center, where your health is their mission, as just happens to be. We've got one of the great folks from COMC with us here today. It's Dr. Gabe Skiba. How's Dr. Gabe?
Doing well.
Excellent, man. I tell you what. So you are from Arizona. How did you make your way to the lake?
So I did my residency up in Kirksville.
Okay.
And they brought me down, and we liked the area, and I've always wanted to live on the lake.
Yeah.
In Arizona, we had a boat, but we had to travel to the lake, but here, it's real close, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little different here, too, because like in Arizona, Texas, so hot there.
It is, yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to get on the water because it's too hot.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Yep.
Where we don't have that problem as
Nope.
much here. So after Kirksville, you just decided you're going to stay here and be a Missouriite.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do we call ourselves in Missouri? Is it a Missouriite?
I would go with that, yeah.
Okay, we'll just say that's the way it is. Absolutely. So so you went to school to become a doctor, I think, kind of later in life, in your 30s.
Uh-huh.
That's fairly rare, isn't it?
It is, and it's a lot more difficult, especially with kids.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
We kind of found our way that way. My wife and I had a child who had trisomy 18 and ended up passing, so I decided that what was more important in life than doing what I was doing was to go back to school and do medicine.
That is a big decision, man. I mean, talk about life-changing, life-altering.
Yep.
And so it was the passing of a child that made that decision.
Yep.
That's about the hardest thing a parent or anybody has to go through.
Yeah, it was difficult. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Absolutely. So as a doctor then, do you feel you're helping people that have to go through things like that?
I do, not necessarily with child loss, but other things in their life that are more difficult. I feel like, having gone through it myself, I'm a little bit more empathetic towards them.
Did you find, like, going back to school to be a doctor? I mean, to be a doctor, there's a whole lot of years of schooling there, right?
Yeah.
Did you feel like going back was harder after you'd been out of school for a while, or was it easier? You just Mr. Smart guy, that doesn't bother you?
I would say undergrad was easy.
Really?
But getting into medical school, after medical school was tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Just with kids, I mean, you're constantly studying. It's a different kind of studying than you do in undergrad.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, having to split time between studying and my family was tough.
That's got to be hard, yeah. But you've got to be very smart to do that. So when you first went to college, I read in your bio that you studied to be an opera singer?
I did. That was much earlier in life, but that's where my wife and I actually met in choir. But yeah, that was my hopes.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd studied vocal performance for a while, got a scholarship at Arizona State, and
Okay.
yeah.
So do you want it to be like up there, I don't know, where do they do operas now? It's not like on Broadway, right? Or?
No, they had an Arizona Opera.
Okay.
They had their own little center there, and I actually tried out. Didn't make it that year. They said come back next year, and you probably would make it. Yeah.
Well, just talking to you, I mean, I can tell you got a really strong voice. So you were out there did you ever see the cartoon Bugs Bunny where he's doing the opera thing? So it was like that, right?
Somewhat, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And in undergrad, of course, we had our group that we came together. We studied vocal performance and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. So do you do that anymore? Do you still sing, or do you teach, or anything like that?
Not as much, no. I miss it, but I have bigger things in my life right now.
Right, don't really have the time for that anymore, right?
Exactly, yep.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty incredible though that you had that kind of a talent. Now, did you give up on that or decide not to do that when you decided to become a doctor?
Actually, what changed is that we had my first daughter, and then I'm like, I can't make any money out of music.
Yeah.
So
that'll do it.
that'll do it, yep.
Absolutely, and becoming a doctor. Hey, I can take care of my family this way.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Much easier.
Cool. So you are in family practice.
Mm-hmm.
You're a family practitioner, but you also deal with substance abuse.
I do, yep.
A lot. So what do you enjoy more, or is it 6 of one, half dozen of another, the family practice or the substance abuse?
I mean, I enjoy them both. Substance use is a little bit more gratifying in a sense that I feel like I'm doing good, especially with the the opioid crisis, with things that we're dealing with as a community,
Yeah.
and it's very prominent with our community. So just helping those that need the help
Wow. That's pretty cool. I mean, you don't hear that every day. That, I really enjoy this because I see the progress
Yep.
being made. I'm guessing you have to deal with some pretty desperate people sometimes.
Sometimes, a lot of them or some of them come out of being just in prison or jail, either by their PO or they find their way to us. And really they're there to hopefully, get off whatever substance they're using, but also stay out of prison and jail.
Yeah. And how do you help them do that? I mean, is there like a lot of counseling involved? Is it just medicine or?
We do. We have counselors that they can see, but a lot of it, what we do as doctors is medications.
Okay.
There's several different medications that we use, Suboxone, naltrexone, these type of medications that help with cravings and help with just getting them through the tough time at the beginning.
Yeah, and we hear that there's a lot of meth in this area.
There is,
Is
yeah.
that's true?
Yeah, there is a lot of meth in our area. We're seeing overdoses and deaths
Yeah.
into it. So yeah,
It is dangerous. It is
Very dangerous.
threatening stuff.
Yeah.
So we're talking with Dr. Gabe Skiba, COMC. Fascinating stuff here. So don't go anywhere. We're going to come back. We'll talk with Dr. Skiba some more here on the Community Spotlight Show. Central Ozarks Medical Center, voted Missouri's best and best at the lake, is recruiting team members due to growth. Amazing employment opportunities for both medical and non-medical positions with competitive salaries and outstanding perks. For more information, go to the Careers tab at centralozarks.org. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Join a leader. Join our team. COMC, where your health is our mission. The 11th straight season of local high school football has been amazing, and Lake TV Sports wants to thank the wonderful local fans, players, and coaches for making it so much fun. Thank you, Mustangs, for the wonderful stops we got to make in Eldon. Thank you, Lakers, for letting us be a part of Coach Parpitt's first game as Lakers head coach and several great Laker victories. Thank you, Osage and Coach Jolly, for some of the best thrills and highlights of the entire season and several great Indian wins. Thank you, Tigers, for welcoming us to Versailles for a front row seat of one of your biggest wins in years. Thank you, Pintos, for some great thrilling action as we've come to expect from the great folks in California every year. Thank you for another fantastic high school football season. So what's next? Stay tuned for some great high school basketball this winter, only on Lake TV. Welcome back to the COMC Community Spotlight Show here on Lake TV. We've got COMC Dr. Gabe Skiba with us here, family practice specialist, and deals in helping substance use. We were talking just before the break there, is there a drug or drugs that are more prevalent around here that are dangerous?
Yes. So meth, of course, is one of the more prominent. Opioids are what we're seeing a lot of. Cocaine. The one drug that we're actually starting to see more of is xylazine, which is a horse tranquilizer.
Really?
Yeah. And unfortunately, with how xylazine is extremely dangerous in the sense that there's really nothing we can do if somebody overdoses on it. If you overdose on opioids, we can give you Narcan and that can bring you out of it. With xylazine, really the only thing we can do is CPR.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it has the same effect where you start losing respiratory drive and you start essentially passing that way because you can't breathe. But really, there's nothing we can do for you other than CPR.
How do people find these things? I mean, I guess it's happened from the dawn of time, but
Yeah.
a horse tranquilizer drug,
Yeah, and it's coming up through the border, but what we're finding it is that they're actually compacting it into opioid pills, especially fentanyl, and that's where they're getting it from.
Oh my, okay. So as you deal with this substance use, helping people, and you actually find that very, very gratifying.
I do, yeah.
In your practice. So we look at you now as a doctor and you're doing all this and everything, but you had this whole life. I mean, you've been outside of the States.
Yep.
I think you lived in Japan
Yeah.
for a couple of years. What was that like?
It was incredible. I mean, just to be able to learn the language, learn the culture. I miss it a lot.
Yeah.
I would go back any day.
You learned the language?
I did.
How long did it take you to learn?
Well, probably 6 to 8 months.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No wonder you're a doctor. You can learn Japanese in 6 to 8 months,
Yep,
man.
yep.
I'd be working on it. So was the culture a lot different from the U.S.?
And somewhat, just socially, it's a little different. Very paternalistic. You look up to your elders. But other than that, I think they strove to be more like an American than we would think.
Right. Interesting. You also built houses in Honduras.
Yeah.
Right. How did that come about?
Well, after Hurricane Mitch, my parents decided that they were going to go down and build some homes for the people. The big thing was different. Instead of building them for them, they were going to help us build them. And so I learned to lay block and build homes, and had the people working right along with us.
That had to be pretty gratifying too.
It was.
I'm guessing.
It was. Yeah. Especially seeing them, because I mean they had, thatch houses.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden have this nice brick building that they can live in.
Have any of those relationships from Japan or Honduras of people that you still communicate with?
Not really in Honduras, but Japan, there is some of my buddies I had over there. We still communicate.
Oh, that's cool. That's very
Yep.
neat. So what is the most rewarding thing for you about being a doctor?
I think the most rewarding is actually seeing the improvement of people's lives. When you go in and they're sick, or if they're, dealing with substance use, seeing them improve and get better. It makes me feel like I actually know something. And
Yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah, that's always
right?
nice. Yeah, and just to see their gratitude. Lately, I've seen a couple patients that we ended up having to diagnose with cancer, and just getting it early and getting them better. It was gratifying.
Yeah.
And then having come back and say, thank you for your help. You were the one who started it. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing when you make that kind of a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
That's pretty huge. Okay, so on the other side of the coin, what is the hardest thing about being a doctor?
I think one thing is just patient dissatisfaction maybe, or just them not being happy with their care and not getting what they want. I mean, we're limited by guidelines, we're limited by practice, standard of care, and sometimes we're not able to fulfill what they're looking for, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
we have to abide within those.
Can't please everybody
Can't please
all
everyone.
the time.
Yeah,
right.
but as a doctor, you would like to, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We're here to make you better.
Okay, let's see. So from what I understand, COMC has something new called PrEP program.
Exactly.
What is PrEP?
PrEP stands for pre-exposure, and PEP stands for post-exposure. It's for HIV prevention, and so essentially we're just starting. The state of Missouri came to us and said, "Hey, we don't have these services in your area. We would like you to start this program." And essentially, it's for those people at increased risk of HIV.
Okay.
The state has stated that we are at risk just because our syphilis levels are on the rise in this area.
Okay.
And with syphilis rising, HIV is soon to follow. And so those that are at risk, higher risk, usually those are within the LGBTQ communities, men who have relationships with other men, things like that, with our medication to prevent the HIV.
Okay.
And so they come to us, we prescribe a medication, and that helps prevent them contract HIV. But if they're worried, if they had an encounter, if they shared needles or whatever, there's also post-exposure prophylaxis, so we can actually treat it after the fact. So if they're worried about having HIV, we can treat them.
Okay. And you work out of the Camdenton?
I do.
And you guys are growing there, right? I mean,
We are.
Big expansion coming to Camdenton.
Yeah, multi-million-dollar expansion.
Is that going to be getting in your way when they're working down the hall?
Maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
we'll deal with it like we always do.
Okay, so people can find you at the Camdenton location. How, if folks are looking for more information on all of this, how do they find that?
So usually it's on our website, centralozarks.org is a good place to start. Our Facebook also has great information on it as well.
Okay, Facebook and centralozarks.org.
Yep.
And if you're interested in meeting Dr. Skiba here, great guy, obviously, you are in Camden.
I am in Camdenton, yep.
Okay, and thank you so much for joining us for Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show.